Emily, are you with us there? Emily? Okay. Emily, would you mind unmuting if you're joining us? And maybe you're just observing, and that's fine if that's the case.
Chat say that she is here.
Okay. All right. Well, this is going to be brief. We're starting a little late. Sorry, I'm starting a little late today. We're waiting for folks to show up, and we're all alone here in council chambers. So I really just want to highlight that go over briefly what was addressed in my article this week. Really announcing the 1% local option tax that will be considered by council on September 8th. I think there was a misprint in the paper. I think it came out as September 15th. So that'll be a special meeting before City Council on September 8th. And it's considering reinstating the 1% local option tax. And the purpose of which would be to fund the Parks and Rec Master Plan that was approved by council last September. There's a survey that was sent out, and this was mentioned in the article, of course. There was a survey that went live today, actually. I think it was today or late last night. And I would encourage viewers or listeners, citizens, to hop online. It's through our link, through our platform, Open Town Hall. You can find that on our website, and you can go fill out that survey. It'll just take you a few minutes, and that'll give you an opportunity to provide your feedback on whether you think the 1% local option tax is a good idea or not, and how you would like to prioritize spending that funding if you do support it. So that's going to be a really important survey for us and for council to understand where the public sits with regards to 1% local option tax and where their priorities lay with regards to funding projects like capital improvement projects at Sandpoint City Parks. So I talked a little bit about that in the article. The Parks and Rec Master Plan really focused on 4 areas. There's the downtown waterfront, which includes the Farman's Landing on the west side of Sand Creek downtown, as well as on the east side of Sand Creek, the Sand Creek lot there, which is currently a parking lot. And then, of course, the City Beach area. So if you haven't had a chance to look at the Parks and Rec Master Plan, you can actually also view that on our website. You can find it there under the Recreation Department. And that's one component of the plan, one of the major components of the plan. Another was the War Memorial Field in Lakeview Park. Most of that has already been completed. That component of the plan was separated early in the master planning process, completed early, so as to facilitate development and implementation of that plan as quickly as possible. And that was to take advantage of the previous 1% local option tax that was approved by voters in 2015. As I'm sure you know, that expired in 2020, December 31st, 2020. So for this year, we haven't had a local option tax. So what would be considered by City Council on September 8th would be putting a new local option tax on the ballot for the voters to decide in November, the November election, whether or not they would approve of such a tax. So the purpose of the survey then, to reiterate, is to help the council determine what the public would like to see in terms of ballot language, what they would like to see on the ballot, what their priorities are, what level of funding they would like to support for local option tax, how long they would like to see that tax implemented, and then that'll determine, what we can actually fund with that tax. So that will be the language of that ballot language will be considered by council on September 8th, and then if it's approved by council, will be on the November ballot. Other elements of the plan, that Parks and Rec master plan, include a sports complex, which is envisioned at the current Centennial and Traverse Parks on the west side of town off of Pine Street. So those are currently, great sports facilities, but if you haven't had a chance to look at the Parks and Rec master plan, I highly encourage you to do it. It envisions quite an expanded sports complex there with much more tennis courts, pickleball courts, which aren't currently there today, an expanded pump track, and of course, an expanded skate park as well. And possibly some field improvements there as well, which would provide extended play through a longer period of the year. And those would be, fantastic improvements for Sandpoint's park system. And then another, the last component of the plan that's envisioned in the Parks and Rec master plan is improvements at the Little Sand Creek watershed. And that's the area. It's over 4,000 acres that the city owns as you're going up as you're going up Schweitzer Mountain Road. As soon as you pass the water treatment plant there on the left, you're entering into the Little Sand Creek watershed. And it's that whole basin that goes all the way up to about almost to the roundabout there at the top of Schweitzer. And so that the majority of that area is owned by the city. There's currently some trails up there already. There's what's traditionally been called the Horse Barn Trail, and that goes from Switchback, from the roundabout down to Switchback 2 approximately. And there has been, over the last several years, Ponderay Peddlers have developed that trail network and are currently working in that area right now to expand and improve that trail network through that area and ensure that those trails are built to standards that protect from erosion and mitigate any other kind of potential environmental problems that could arise there. And then, of course, the Watershed Crest Trail that has been under construction up there for several years now. That's a crest line trail envisioned to circumnavigate the watershed. So these are the kinds of elements that could be that could be developed up there in the watershed, and some of this funding from the local option tax could also go towards implementation of the Parks and Rec plan as it relates to the watershed. And I should mention, though, that the recreation component of that watershed plan is not complete. That component of the parks plan still is yet to be developed, and the city will be initiating that process within the next year. We expect to continue that process. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the Parks and Rec master plan is overall in terms of the different components that are involved. If you go to the survey online, it also asks whether the city should prioritize purchasing the Baldi property. And this is something that's come up a number of times over the last few years. The Baldi property is west of town, west of the tracks, off of Baldi, of course. And it's 32 acres there that the city owns. And currently the Baldi Foot, the Baldi Foot disc golf course is there currently and has been for a number of years. And that is a incredible recreational amenity there that's on that site. There's parking lot improvements there. It gets very well used. Right now, that property is owned by the wastewater utility. And if it were to continue to exist as a park and as a, whether a dog park or an area for trails and connectivity, or of course, as a disc golf course, it ultimately would need to be purchased by the general fund. And we've had a lot of talk about this over the years. It's, as I mentioned, because it's owned by the ratepayers, the wastewater utility, and the reason that was purchased by the wastewater utility back in, I think it was 2009, is because originally the city thought that expansion of the wastewater treatment facility would best be located at that location. Since then, in 2017, 2018, the city decided that actually the best location for the new wastewater treatment plant that will be coming in the next few years here would actually be at its current site at the Lakeview plant. So that Baldi property is no longer needed by the wastewater utility. So in order to satisfy the ratepayers and I think ethically the right thing to do is for the wastewater utility to sell that land. And wouldn't it be great if we could retain that land as a recreational area for the disc golf course, for dogs, dog walking, that kind of thing. It offers great connectivity from Baldi all the way potentially someday down to Pine Street through that corridor. So there's some great connectivity trail options right there as well. And there could be other recreational opportunities there as well. There's also about 15 acres on that site that could be used for development. And that's something that the council may want to consider as well. And that could help leverage the purchase of the land if we're able to sell some of that land. And there's even the opportunity to leverage some of that land for workforce housing as well. So all of that is worthy of consideration by council, and that question is an important question, I think, that's included in the survey. And we really want to hear from the public whether or not you think that's a good idea, a good investment of our tax dollars to invest in that property in particular. But also there could be other land acquisition opportunities that would really make a lot of sense and be a great long-term investment for City of Sandpoint residents. And those could include improved waterfront access down at Sand Creek and perhaps other places as well as trail connectivity opportunities and open space opportunities generally. So those are the kind of questions that you'll find on the survey. And I'm really hoping it's only going to be up live here for a little over a week, about 10 days. So maybe 11 days. So we're really hoping that people have a chance to log on, fill out that survey. It just takes a few minutes, and it's going to give us some really good, it's going to give us a really good understanding of how the public feels about investment of their tax dollars towards these kinds of efforts. And I want to preface this by saying that, and I mentioned this in my article, it almost feels a little weird maybe talking about this right now because of some of the serious issues that are going on in our community right now. We've been facing really, I think, critical issues over this last year and a half, of course, with the pandemic, threats to our health and public safety even. As well as the housing crisis that we're now faced with skyrocketing house prices and many people feeling displaced. These are huge impacts on our community. And I can understand how, proposing a local option tax at a time like this for recreation may seem tone deaf, as I put it in my article. But I really want to stress how critical it is that we continue to invest in our open public spaces, because these are spaces that allow, they really are spaces and places that allow us to get outside and recreate affordably, free. And that's those, being able to get outside and use our open spaces, it keeps us healthy, it keeps us happy. It keeps life enjoyable. It makes our living here, a good experience. It makes Sandpoint a good place to live. It's good for the economy. It's stimulating for business. For all those reasons, it's always a good idea for us to continue to invest in our public spaces. If we don't do that, then we lose that opportunity, and it's not only it's bad for public health, and it's bad for quality of life. And I think quality of life should always be one of our top priorities and one of our top investments as a city. So with that, I hope you have a chance to, those listening, I hope you have a chance to log on and complete that survey on Engage Sandpoint or Open Town Hall. Again, you can find it on our website or through Engage Sandpoint on your mobile app. And if there's anyone on, if Emily, you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions or take any comments. Okay, well, with that, I want to thank anyone watching and really appreciate you engaging on this issue. And I hope you have a chance again to fill out that survey. Let us know how you feel about the local option tax proposed on the 2021 ballot. And I hope you see the value in investing in our public spaces. Thank you and have a good day.